Okay, the next thing that I want to do is that my test imitates a real browser interaction. So I want to click the select and then choose an option, and we will go with pizza. So querying the select, if we scroll up, the log of the previous runs shows here that the select has the data test ID, and I want to use that to query the select. So I'm going to name this native select, and querying by test ID. The test ID value is select food, and then I want to click this element, and that will be done or fulfilled by the fireEvent API that you can import from testing library DOM. And you can use the click command and pass down the native select. So this is going to click on the native select. And then I want to query the option. And here, I cannot see the test ID that I prepared. Why? If we go back here, we have some errors area, and they say can't bind to this data test ID since it isn't a known property of option. So if I go back to the template, oh well, this is your first time seeing the template. So here's the select, and there I have the test ID. Everything looks fine there, but here in the option, because I'm using this bind syntax, um, apparently the Angular compiler is not happy with that. Why? Because in the end, data test ID is not actually a property of the native element option, but it should be an attribute, right? A custom attribute, and for that you should use the utter prefix before your attribute name. And with this, we should have less warnings or errors. At least this is the material option that we will fix later. But now, if I try to debug or log out all the DOM, I will see the data test ID being added there for every option. There you go. So now I'm pretty sure that my data test ID are attached to the option element. And now I can use the screen query by test ID again to query that option. And we will use the emoji pizza. And then similarly to the select, I want to click on the option. So now if I run the test again, I expect that the selected food section will have the pizza. Will that actually gonna work? No. So this is basically not right. If we go to the documentation of the native select element, there will be like this change event that you should use, and I'm basically using it here. And this is going to be triggered once you select an option from the select element. So in other words, we should trigger the change event in order to change the selected food. So in other words, I have to comment this lines and use fireEvent again, and hopefully I can find a change event. Yes. And then I do the same thing, and then as a second argument, it would be the option that I want to select. And now, if I save and run the test, it should be select food, pizza, selected. Okay, this is great. But right here, I'm not happy with this because I'm not actually mimicking a user interaction. So we are finding this change event, but in the reality, this is not what's happening, right? So for that reason, I want to introduce another library that we want to use, and it is the user event, which is a companion library for our testing library. And it's basically simulates user interaction by dispatching the event that would happen if the interaction took place in a browser. In other words, it's kind of like it will dispatch the event like they would happen if a user interacted with the document, which is what we are looking for. So